Good afternoon, Jamaica. Hello and welcome back to Star-Spangled Sit-Down. My name is Paul Stilley and I am the Deputy Public Affairs Officer at the U.S. Embassy in Kingston. As we continue our Freedom 250 programming, celebrating 250 years of American leadership, innovation, and partnership, we're highlighting the people and the ideas that connect our two countries. And today, we're launching a special online series called America Helped Me Build This. It features Jamaican leaders who have used U.S. exchange experiences to create impact at home. As we mark Freedom 250, we encourage you to follow the U.S. Embassy on social media at U.S. Embassy JA for updates on programs and opportunities. You can share this episode and tag someone who you think should be part of this next generation of Freedom 250 changemakers. If you're a young leader, entrepreneur, or changemaker in Jamaica, programs like the Young Leaders of the America Initiative, YLI, Academy for Women Entrepreneurs, AWE, and the Fulbright program are open and available to people like you. For more information and to apply, please visit jm.usembassy.gov. Also, as we begin the show, if any online viewers have questions relevant to today's topic, please put them in the comments section and we will try to get to them at the end of the show. Today's guest is Tishauna Mullings. She is a social innovator, executive director, and founder of Next Step Lifelong Educational Services. She has led impactful initiatives across Jamaica and internationally, working at the intersection of policy, leadership, and enterprise development. Tishauna, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you here. Yeah. For those of you who are online and are meeting you for the first time, how would you describe the work that you do, and how did U.S. exchange programs that you participated in help shape where you have begun, where you have come today?
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Tishauna Mullings. I'm a social development practitioner. And just even the framing of who I am in terms of what I do for my career came from experiences I had with U.S. Embassy exchange programs. So my first experience was the Young Leaders of the Americas Initiative. So this took me across several states in the United States. I had a particular home state where in San Diego, that is, where we focused on building our leadership skills. And this is where I understood that the impact that I've been creating over the years in my community at the grassroots level did not have to be separated from profit making. So that was my introduction to social enterprise, social development as a career. And that told me that when I came back to Jamaica, how I was going to position my career is somewhere at the intersection between grassroots and governance in the social development landscape. So that's what I've been doing over the years. And what that looks like is small projects at the community level. For example, observing needs, such as children who need to be fed, such as older persons who need support, and then shaping projects and programs around those things. And then at the governance level, all the way to working on things like being a part of the social enterprise working group that reports to Parliament. So it's been a great journey, but at the beginning of that journey was my partnership with the U.S. Embassy and the first exchange program I went on.
That's an incredible story that you have, Tishauna, and thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
The experience for you while you were in the United States, as you're immersed in U.S. leadership and innovation ecosystems as part of these exchange programs, what did you learn from the experience? And how did you view the United States before going on these programs and after?
So I have family in the United States. So before that, going to the United States was just a fun trip or a trip to, engage my family. But since traveling for exchange programs, I had a chance to look at global systems, global standards, the US approach to doing social development. And then I was able to then translate some of those methodologies and apply those to the Jamaican landscape. So it's not necessarily a copy and paste or a replication, but is learning best practices and standards and taking those home. One of the things I found as well, especially on the YLI program, persons and organizations were open to share. This is the blueprint, this is the playbook, this is how you apply. So I was able to come back home, look at our local realities, look at the statistics that were coming out of the Jamaica Productivity Center, starting where we get most of our statistics from, and look at what is going on just by what you can see from the naked eye, and then applying those systems, ecosystems, playbook, and translating those to the Jamaican space. And I've been able to now see my work just not as moving from one project to the next, but as a continuum. So it's more longitudinal. It's looking at how one thing builds on the other to meet an overall goal, such as meeting our global and local development goals.
I love that. I love that you have the idea of building one thing on another in order to reach a goal, because that is in many ways the step-by-step process in order to meet your accomplishments. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
When you were in the United States, of course, you met many different kinds of people, engaged with people from all different parts of society. Was there a particular American that you met on your visits that significantly shaped or changed how you saw the United States, and how did that relationship then influence your professional path when you came back to Jamaica?
So I can't remember the specific name now, but I remember while on the Wildlife program, we visited a university, and I remember meeting a man, and he said, "You are," I think he was a professor. He said, "You are a pracademic." That was the first time I was hearing that word.
What does that mean? What is a pracademic?
What is a pracademic? He said a pracademic is a practical academic. So you're always pursuing knowledge, formally and informally, for the purpose of applying that to the challenges that you see on the ground. And that is, when I'm in a lecture, while I was in my bachelor's degree, my master's degree, I'm always thinking about what are the challenges that I've seen that I want to apply some of these theories to. And that's the way I mentor my mentees. I always say to them, I don't believe in dead-end mentorship. And that's what I call, if I pour into you and you hold it for yourself to just grow for yourself, then you're not translating that out. And which is why I'm also happy that as a Wildlife Fellow, they were looking for persons to be facilitators for the Aspiring Women Entrepreneur Program. And I was able to be one of the facilitators for the AWE program. And that allowed me to teach some of the things I learned on the Wildlife program. So that's a live example of the United States Embassy and its programs feeding into one alumni who now helps others to grow.
That's great.
And by now, there are hundreds of women who have advanced their businesses. And we're now seeing these women doing well in the ecosystem as entrepreneurs. They're now employing others, some from disadvantaged backgrounds. So it's a cascading effect. It's not just about supporting one person, but it's how that person, after the exchange program, is able to spread out the impact that the programs are having.
Absolutely. It's a ripple effect. And it's wonderful that you were able to learn from your experiences and take them back to not only benefit yourself, but also to benefit the people around you in your own country.
Absolutely.
Tell us about Next Step. Why is this kind of system-based thinking important for Jamaica right now, and the lessons that you learned from the U.S. program that helped you to build an organization like Next Step?
All right. So we're now transitioning from Next Step Lifelong Educational Services to Next Step Training and Social Impact Consulting. Because working in the space, what we do is teach the soft skills, and my mentor says this, the soft things are the hard things. So we teach the soft skills that will help to build human capacity so people can operate in more sustainable ways. So whether you're working in an organization, not just seeing yourself as a team member, but seeing yourself as creating a strategic shift and looking at how that shift then cascades to making an impact in the world. And that's how I look at everything that I look at. So at Next Step, I am called the chief social innovator, because that's literally what we're doing. We're looking at how when we transform one individual, one organization, what does the effect of that transformation look like in the rest of the world? In Jamaica now, we're trying to increase our productivity numbers in terms of how productive people are, one individual and then an entire team. So in terms of the services producing sector, there is a decrease in terms of how productive we are. So as a company, Next Step looks at figures like those coming out of Jamaica Productivity Center and decide, what can we do if we're able to make a shift in 6 organizations that has a staff of, let's say, 1,000 people, then that is going to literally move the needle, because what we're hoping is that that effect will cascade beyond the walls of those workplaces.
I think that's a fantastic plan and an aspiration to follow. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've talked about your journey and the systems you're building, like Next Step, but you're also doing very important work on the ground in Jamaica right now through a project called Project Hope, which is supported by U.S. foreign assistance.
Yes. Yeah.
Could you tell us about the work that you're doing and the impact that Project Hope is having in communities across Jamaica, especially in the aftermath after Hurricane Melissa?
Yeah, so I am the consultant mental health and psychosocial support coordinator at Project Hope. So Project Hope, in response to Hurricane Melissa, decided that they were going to focus on 3 key areas. This is health, mental health, and wash services, which is really water and sanitation. So what we do, we go into communities and we run mobile medical units. So we run these MMUs and we also go into the static health facilities, offering these 3 types of services. So my role is to support with the integration of mental health services into primary health care. To date, we have done just under 100 MMUs across Westmoreland, Trelawney, St. Elizabeth, and St. James. And I've discovered communities that I didn't know existed in Jamaica.
Yeah.
And I'm a born Jamaican. And it's a project funded by the United States that brought me into those communities. For example, we went into a community called Lottery in St. James. And we went to a primary school. We were able to see the persons who were still in the shelter. We have seen so many people who have totally lost their homes. One of the things we're very passionate about in terms of mental health services is how our children have been doing post-hurricane. We're meeting children and adults who are still having triggers when it rains, when it's windy, and Project Hope has been able to provide services, and we've been also able to refer. And in alignment with how I like to work is that Project Hope is not just about executing this project and then leaving, but Project Hope was here at the beginning, and they pride themselves in being here well beyond the disaster. So the point is to strengthen our health system and our mental health support machinery as a nation, so that when Project Hope is no longer here running a project, the system has been strengthened. And that's what my life's work is about, which is why, as a consultant, I was excited to join Project Hope. And I look forward to what's next, because there's still a lot of work out there in the field to be done to build on moving from just recovery to a more resilient nation. And
Absolutely.
we're grateful for the support from the United States.
And the United States is glad to stand shoulder to shoulder with the people of Jamaica as the country rebuilds. And as you mentioned, it will take time.
Yes,
but I'm glad to
absolutely.
hear that projects like Project Hope are going well and being part of that rebuilding process.
Absolutely.
For someone who is watching, who has an idea, but they're not exactly sure where to start, I'm sure you were once there.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you say to them about applying for a U.S. exchange program?
First of all, there's nothing to lose. If you apply for it this time and you didn't get through this time, you haven't lost anything. Apply again. If you want to do something and you're not so sure, just look around you. There are so many needs. I think there's 2 things that you need to start. 1, recognizing any skill that you have. Any skill that you have is useful in one way or another. And then look around you for a need. And then look at how can I apply this skill to this need that I'm seeing around. These are the days and age where we have tools such as AI. And again, I'm doing a project funded by the US Embassy with my partner, Godiva Golding, called TechStage. And we're working with high school students. We're saying to them, look around in different industries. What are the challenges you're seeing? How can you engage AI? And high school students are doing this. So use the AI tool. This is my skill. These are the challenges I see around me. Help me to come up with an idea that I can use to be a change maker. Use that idea, practice, try something, and then apply to another program saying, this is what I've done and I want to do more. That's a blueprint. So
where was Tishauna Mullings when I was 18 years old with that advice? That's wonderful advice to give to people. So I think we have some time at this moment to ask a few questions from some of the people that are online, that are our viewers. One of the questions that somebody has put into the comments section is, what can we do as Jamaicans to inspire our youth to choose productive pathways? This is from D on Facebook.
From D?
D.
All right, so D on Facebook. So what can we do to encourage our young people? Show them examples, right? I'm a rural girl. I'm from the parish of St. Thomas. So I like to tell everybody that, because so many times I hear our young people saying only persons who are in the corporate area get opportunities. But I'm a rural girl. I applied for the Wildlife Fellowship. I wasn't so sure. I was very uncertain when I was making that application, right? But one of the things I'll say to the young people as well, make your interests known. Even if you're not sure what you want, say, I'm not sure what I want and I'm looking for something, so that someone can help you. I remember it was a teacher from a primary school who came and said, there's a program called Wildlife. I think you should apply. And I applied for Wildlife. It was 10:58 when I started the application and it was due by 11:59. And I was very uncertain, but I got through for the program, and the rest is history. So let the young people know when you see the opportunities, share them, and young people, make it known that you're looking for support.
I'm glad you didn't have any internet problems at 11:59 and missed the cutoff. That's happened to me before.
Apply early.
Apply early. Don't wait till the last minute.
But I didn't learn about it till late at that time.
Exactly. We have no more questions, but if you do have any other questions, please put them into the comments section. Tishauna will be able to perhaps answer them at a later point in time.
Definitely. I will check.
And we'll certainly be keeping track of your questions. We have just time for one last question before we wrap things up here, Tishauna, and thank you again for being here. In one or two sentences, what did your American exchange help you to build?
So I'm building an ecosystem that will multiply the number of change makers that are seeking to move the needle in Jamaica, the Caribbean, and our region. And I can honestly say, not because I'm on this program, I learned that through Wildlife. So I'm transforming my work from just moving from project to project to doing needle moving work. Right now I run a program called Catapult, and what I'm doing is developing change makers who thinks in systems. So they're looking at what is going on, looking at their area of impact, and looking at how what they do can be methodical, can look at certain metrics, local metrics, global metrics, and move those needles. So the work that we do here in Jamaica will become an example, not just for us, but people can say, I'm taking best practices from Jamaica, just as I learned the best practices in the US and translated here, not replicate, but translate. Then people can also learn from us as Jamaican change makers. So I want to thank you and US Embassy for making it possible.
Thank you, Tishauna. We appreciate you being here. Again, this is part of our Freedom 250 program, and it's celebrating 250 years of American leadership, innovation, and also partnership. The U.S. exchange programs like the one Tishauna participated in helps to build global networks and leadership skills. We encourage you to apply. Alumni like Tishauna are continuing to drive that innovation and development in Jamaica. And there are opportunities that are open across all different kinds of sectors in Jamaica, including entrepreneurship, education, and leadership. So we encourage you viewers out there to follow the U.S. Embassy on social media for updates on these programs and opportunities. And we encourage viewers like you to share this episode and tag someone who you think may be interested in applying for the program. So be sure to follow us. Thank you for joining us today. My name again is Paul Stilley. I'm the Deputy Public Affairs Officer at the U.S. Embassy in Kingston. See you next time for an episode of Star-Spangled Sit-Down, and have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.